Welcome. I'm Joe Weston. It's August 16th. I don't know if you noticed, I always look up to the side to see what the date is on my computer, just because I don't know. So and if it, according to what my computer says, it's August 16th, 2022. It doesn't say 2022. I'm just going to assume that's the year we're in. And I'm Joe Weston, and we're here for our online global practice for reviving the global heart. And yeah, it's as always, I say it's great to see you all, to see familiar faces, to see new faces, as we gather from around the world with people who come on a regular basis, or for the first time, or for a few times. All is welcome to hold space for this idea of what it means to revive the global heart, and that we, in a sense, are cultivating a practice of fierce civility, fierce compassion, and resilience, which is kind of what fierce civility is. You can tell I'm really in the manuscript. For the purpose of, as have said for years, that we hold space with the fierceness and the care and the love of a midwife, of a doula, midwife for a system that's dying away, as we can see every day as we wake up, and a system that has been emerging, that is being born, and that we hold space for that as well. And that what we're doing is we're cultivating the deepest levels and understandings of what it means to be a nurturer and a protector. And as we cultivate that, what we're seeing is that we can choose to step into the world with that every thought we have, every word we say, every action we do is based on this motivation of being a nurturer for ourselves, being a nurturer for the other, being a protector for ourselves, being a protector for the other, even our allies, even strangers, even adversaries. And that from the perspective of having dialogue where we can get to win-win solutions, let new solutions emerge and overcome our reactivity, our stagnant polarization, and our volatility to de-escalate conflict, that we also commit to being nurturers and protectors for every conversation we have, every encounter we have, that we nurture that conversation and we protect it from reactivity and this idea of lack of civility. And it is in this practice that we can be part of the unfolding of what I see happening, and many of you here in this group right now would say is the emergence of the possibility of a culture of lasting peace. And that what I want to just talk a little bit about that, about peace. I've talked about that already a couple of years ago, but I want to bring it up. Some of you may not have been there, or you may have forgotten it, or if you didn't, it's a refresher. But and there's some new aspects of that. So last week, I had a lot of joy sharing with you on joy, my relationship with joy, and to hear from you and what joy meant for you. And in that, I talked about the 4 pillars of resilient power. And that's a process that I have developed now that's now 17 years old, that I've been doing with groups. George, in fact, is going to a conference to take that work and share it with his community, who's here on the call. And many of you are trained and certified in coaching in that and training with that. And it's the most embodied aspect of the work I do, where through a series of exercises that I have developed from my practices, that going back now 30, almost 40 years, that help us cultivate within ourselves a deep sense of grounding, focus, strength, and flexibility. And and when we're cultivating that we're doing these exercises to tap into our own authentic power. And what it does is it breaks this stigma we have around power, or what I call an unexamined assumption that when we talk about true power or resilient power, that it's the same thing as brute force. And I think that that's a reason why what I've examined, why many of us are challenged to step into our power, because from my life experience, growing up in the volatile situation I grew up in, growing up in America, particularly where, big biceps and big guns were really celebrated, the Rambo kind of way of being, where nice guys finished last, in a sense. That from that, for me, in my conditioning, it was just, I just had to assume that true power meant brute force. And I had to, in a sense, unravel that and rewire that and see that that may not be so, and that there's different ways of looking at power. And that's how I developed these, what I felt was there were 4 pillars or 4 qualities of power that we can cultivate that gives us a different sense of power and helps us, like colors on a palette, helps us create our own authentic power, how we design that for ourselves. And that the 4 pillars help us tap into that, that there's a sense of a grounded power. There's a sense of a focused power. There's a sense of power that is strong and assertive, and that there's flexible. And for those of you who appreciate the cosmologies, they each associate with the elements, that grounding actually is water. Water always seeks its lowest point, and it's fluid, and that it's a different way of looking, that it's not so fixed and stubborn grounding, but it is just connecting with the earth, being in movement with that, and being in movement and flow with all that's happening. Focus is fire. It's clarifying, it's igniting energy, it's sparking hope and creativity. Strength is the closest to the earth. It's the earth element, where we call in our physical body, our assertiveness. And in the practice, of course, in respectful confrontation, we delineate between assertiveness and aggression. That assertiveness or strength that is grounded and focused can be so transformative in terms of healing and reconciliation and creativity in life. It's when our strength, our assertiveness is ungrounded and unfocused that it causes harm. So, what we always say, that one of the biggest qualities with the strength pillar is you cultivate the superpower of courage. And in a sense, the true courage is the courage to ask for help, seek out support. And that flexibility for me is the evolutionary of the 4. It's where we learn the power of adaptability. We learn the power of the air element, of using that to create possibility. Where things are contracted and rigid, we can create space and we create hope. And that we see that submission, or that adapting and being flexible is not submission. It's not weak. There's actually a lot of power in that, again, if it's grounded and focused. So in a sense, that's just a quick teaching on the 4 pillars of resilient power. I brought it up last week in the context of joy, is because what I experience and what I see with all the groups I've worked with around the world, that when we start practicing these exercises and really, in a sense, let ourselves be moved by the exercises, we get to tap into internal energy resources that we may not have known was there. And by getting into that state of relaxing into and letting the exercise move us, we free ourselves of all the mental stuff we've got going on, and we just relax into it. We find our freedom, and just naturally a kind of joy arises. The joy that is our birthright, the joy that is always within us. It's just a question of finding the space to allow it to flow. So that's the context, and I bring that up because for me, the concept of peace is the same thing in a sense. What I did say last week about, and what I say always when I'm talking about the 4 pillars of resilient power, is that tapping into your authentic power, what you're doing with these 4 pillars is you cultivate a relationship with your own authentic power. And then I believe you can't really train yourself to be more powerful. You are already fully powerful. That is within you. That the work is not to become more powerful. The work is to notice the habits and patterns, the trauma, the enculturation, all the stories that keep you from accessing that power and confronting those obstacles and challenges. And by doing so, you tap into your authentic power, which is always there that you can tap into. And I believe that joy is the same way, and I believe that peace is the same way as well. Because in a sense, when we think about inner peace, we think that we got to do something or go somewhere to get it. Oftentimes, that there's work to do, or that there's an end result. I'm working on cultivating inner peace. As soon as you start working on something, you're not going to get inner peace. At least that's my experience. And so the idea, and there's this idea, and I've talked about this before in terms of what's playing out on the planet throughout history, but certainly now, and how I delineate between peace and lasting peace, is that the reason I believe we're not getting to peace in the world is because we believe it's something we have to get to, and that when we get to it, all will be well. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. It's like saying that peace is the finish line. Well, I assert that peace is the starting point, and that the work starts the moment there is peace, and that it is a constant moment to moment, from every moment, a choosing into peace. We choose for peace. And that is what are the causes and conditions for lasting peace. That it's not an end result. It's just the starting point, and it's not static. Peace is not static. That in a sense, it is like the infinity symbol, right? That's, the idea of balance. I always say that it's a fallacy to think that balance is a fixed, static thing. And that's why many of us can't find balance, is we're trying to find something that just isn't there. Balance for me is simply the continual calibration from one extreme back to that middle point to the other. That to me is what the infinity symbol kind of suggests. That is balance. And that it's an itsy bitsy point on that whole symbol, the moment when you come to balance. And it takes a lot of work, maybe lifetimes, if you believe in that cosmology, of rigorous practice to get to that point of one-pointed concentration where you can hold that level of peace within yourself. So the goal isn't to get to the state of peace. The goal is to notice as quickly when you're not feeling peace and find your way back to balance to get to that peace. So that's that, and in a sense, by doing that, every time we bring ourselves back, we tap into what I believe, just like our authentic power, there is a part within us which is always peaceful, which is already peace. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just throwing out an idea, right? What if that were true? That our job isn't to cultivate more peace within ourselves, but to recognize when we are thrown off and not in peace, and be searching, going within and searching for that which is already within us, which is already wholeheartedly peace. There's never a deviation, and it might just be just a little point. That place, I would believe, is also fluid. It's not fixed. It's not concrete. Doesn't exist inherently with anything else. And I just wanted to bring that up, this idea of, and that is what lasting peace is. The idea of, I talk about what are true polarities. That for me, we get stuck in polarization and polarity, and that we get stuck again because there's so much I can say about this. There's chapters of this in my book, but the polarity of war is not peace. They're two concepts that seem like they're close together, but they're not true polarities. Because a true polarity, if you think of like the North Pole, the South Pole, if you think of magnets, is the negative or the positive of that which you're discussing. So in a sense, the true polarity of war is not war, not peace, is not war, not peace. And in a sense, we don't get to war because we think that to get rid of war, we have to find peace. No, the first step is to just stop doing war first. Then when you stop doing war, then you can focus on peace. So just throwing in a lot of ideas of helping you in your practice. And in a sense, in this practice, we do on a weekly basis, or I'm assuming for many of you on a daily basis, that how do we carry this into the world, right? And for those of you who do come on a regular basis now for a couple of years, I invite you to really consider that. How do you now start taking this practice and walking it in the world when you go to the supermarket, when you're hanging out with friends, any part of this idea of this joy, this idea of authentic power, and to be able to also walk through the world with an awareness, whether you tap into that inner peace when you're driving and there are people cutting you off, or dealing with family members or work colleagues, you may not feel in that moment inner peace. But imagine if you just thought to yourself as you're doing that, like, I'm really struggling, I'm really agitated right now, and there's a part of me that is always peaceful. So to just weave that into all of your thoughts, all of your words and your actions, it's a practice in itself. So let's do our practice. And as always, remember, there's no right way to do this or wrong way to do this. It's about finding your way. What we're doing here is we're cultivating presence, awareness, balance, and flow, which ties into all of this, tapping into the balance, peace, joy, power, authentic power, cultivating fierce compassion and resilience, finding a way to sit where your spine is straight without being rigid, elongating your neck a little bit so you can tuck in your chin, relaxing your jaw, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your belly. We call power sit. From this point, in this moment, bringing your awareness to your core in your lower belly, approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and 1/3 of the way into the body from the front of the body. Center of personal power, impulse, gut wisdom, awareness. From your awareness, from your center, become aware of your contact points, the parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on. On the ground. Feeling the contact that you're making, body pressing down through gravity, feeling the stability under you, and from that stability, allowing yourself to be held. Just do an inventory right now from in a sense, you can, as always, good to start with. How are you, what's your physical state of being right now? Maybe from 1 to 5. 1 being totally dysregulated, 5 being peaceful, centered, balanced, physically. How are you emotionally right now? What's your emotional state of being from 1 to 5? What's your mental state of being right now? And using this concept of your core like being a battery where you can tap into energy resources. How charged is your battery right now? From 0 to 100. Are you on your last few bars? Are you fully charged? It's not a quiz where there's right or wrong answers. It's simply an observation and a assessment of this present moment. Making note of this assessment. We can check this again at the end of the practice to see where you are. But in this moment, as we come into the present moment, from your center, become aware of your physical body, just noticing, listening. What is actually unfolding in your body right now? What's your level of balance or sense of peace in your physical body? And from your center, become aware of your emotional body. How is it speaking to you right now? And from your center, become aware of your mental body. How are your thoughts? Not what are your thoughts, but how are your thoughts? Quality of your thoughts. Bringing awareness to your, or maintaining a connection with your core, your personal power. Now bringing awareness to the middle of your chest, where your heart center is, your heart power resides. Compassion, respect, connection. And from your center and from your heart, become aware of that part of you which has access to something larger than yourself. Some might call it your spiritual body, your energetic body. Connecting with your heart and your core and checking in with that part of you. What level of peace are you feeling within that part of you right now? And from that part of you, opening to the connection in this moment to something larger than yourself. In this very moment, are you connected, or how connected are you to something larger than yourself? Something spiritual, could be humanity. Your highest values. And seeing if it's possible within yourself to investigate, where does peace reside in you in this moment? You may not come to a conclusion, but just seek it out. Could be in your right big toe, who knows? It could be in your left ear. With this level of presence and awareness, let that now flow within yourself with a connection with Mother Earth beneath you and something larger than yourself from your center and from your heart. Let that flow out towards your boundaries, to the edges of your boundaries, filling your personal space with this awareness in all directions, behind you, above you. Finding some level of certainly safety, but some level of peace within your personal space. With this awareness of self in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. Maintaining this connection to some level of awareness of peace and yourself in this present moment, keeping your eyes closed. From your center and from your heart, become aware of your surroundings, the space you're in. sounds, smells, light, objects in all directions, again, behind you, but beneath you. And as you engage with your space, in a sense, what relationship are you building with your space? Can you, in a sense, still hold on to an awareness of peace? And can you feel where there might be threads or ribbons of peace within your own surroundings? In this moment. And with this awareness of self and surroundings in this present moment from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. Maintaining this connection with yourself and some semblance of peace in your heart, in your core, in your being. From your center and from your heart, now becoming aware of those in this meditation circle, those who are holding space with us in this practice in various parts of Europe, North America, other parts of the world. From your center and from your heart, engaging and connecting with those in this meditation circle. Notice if that impacts your own level of connection to your own self and presence and peace. If that, in a sense, throws your level of peace off, can you calibrate and find your way back to balance in relationship with those in this meditation circle? With this awareness of self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. Increasing our capacity to hold on to a sense of peace within ourselves as we expand our connection with other beings. So now from your center and from your heart, relying on the connection with those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, now becoming aware of all human beings, beginning with those human beings you would label loved ones. So in this moment, who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? How many loved ones can show up in your heart right now that you would consider loved ones? And if you're sitting as if you're sitting face to face with them or standing face to face with them, from your center and from your heart, connecting with theirs. And as you engage with them, as you are in relationship with them in this moment, can you also bring awareness to your core and your heart and a semblance of inner peace? If they have thrown you off balance or out of your peace, what would you need to do to calibrate to bring yourself back to that? Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. From your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label strangers. And who arises in your heart? What faces do you see? How many do you see? Groups of people? How many can you hold in your heart at this moment of the more than 7 billion? And as you engage with them from your center and your heart with theirs, does that throw you off center? Does it throw you out of your center of peace? And what can you do to calibrate to bring yourself back? Can you bring yourself back? You may not be able to. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings you would label adversary. Who arises in your heart? How many can you muster up in this moment? What faces do you see, or groups of people? Standing face to face with them from your center and from your heart with honor and respect, connecting with theirs. Noticing how that might impact your level of inner peace, inner balance. Could reinforce it. If it throws you off, how can you calibrate? Creating the new habituation of, I can stand face to face with those I would consider adversaries and still maintain inner peace, my sense of grounding and focus. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. Just imagine that the power of the ease within which you can calibrate in each moment back and forth with flexibility and strength to your own level of inner peace, how that must impact others. So in a sense, your sense of continual recalibration to peace activates within your loved ones, strangers, and adversaries their own sense of peace, or an awareness or possibility of peace. As we, as all human beings, recognize that within ourselves. And the benefit that can have to all creatures on this planet and the planet itself. And with this recognition for all of us now, allowing all human beings to flow into your heart, as you bring your awareness back to those in this meditation circle, sharing this sense of wonder, this sense of possibility with one another. Allowing those in this meditation circle to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your surroundings, bringing this whole practice back to this context, the here and now in your world, in your space. Allowing your space to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. Recalibrating to you, your relationship with you. Allowing this practice, the benefits of this practice, the energy that you've cultivated to flow into every cell of your body. Waking up all of your cells. Flowing into your organs to nurture and heal and restore. Flowing into your nervous system as a way to remember this, to walk this into the world, what your current experience is. And once again, doing it, noticing now, allowing that energy to flow into your core, filling your battery. If it wasn't at 100% yet, maybe, or whatever it was at, the energy of this practice flowing into your core, charging you. And checking in with your inventory. What's your physical state of being at this point, from 1 to 5? What's your emotional state of being? What's your mental state of being? And as a way to close this practice, let's take one final breath in. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes, look around the room, shake your body, stretch your body. So we started with the motivation, we did our practice. We now have a few minutes to reflect. So would anybody like to share? What was your experience? How was anything that came up during what I shared in the talk, anything that came up in the practice, or anything that's on your heart that you want to share? Bob?
Something, yeah. I had something that just kept ringing into my ear, an old song. I can't sing it, but I can say it. First couple of lines, it's let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I forget the rest of it, but that's pretty much the essence of, I think, what we're talking about this morning.
In what way? What do you take away from that? How does that inspire you?
Well, there's action in that. And that's what we're talking about today, of how we interact with, people. And of course, one could be more active than that by just concentrating on peace in the world by, donating to groups that nonprofit groups and others that work on peace studies and how the world can change with a little, maybe some legislation, whatever, but there's lots. But I was just thinking right now in terms of just going out to the store or anywhere else and just have that in your mind, that let it begin with me. Let me talk to this person, this stranger, and smile and just try and interact in that way.
Thank you, Bob. I'd love to be in a store with you walking by. That'd be amazing. It's contagious, actually. If you try it, it's really contagious. Thank you.
Great.
Anyone else? Todd put a link to the song in the chat. Golden.
Yeah, I noticed you never say hello to me, Joe, until I come on video. I was like, let me just do a little test here. Let me come on video. And sure enough, you're like, yay! And I'm like,
Yay.
There she is.
I'm always here. I'm always here.
You are, and you don't know what joy it brings to my heart. You don't know because that's because of what you're saying. So I guess I got to make it clear. Okay.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah,
to
I will
see.
tell you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I will tell you. Most of the time, this meditation happens in the middle of my morning routine. So I just managed to finish like just a little bit early. I have a call in 5 minutes, and I was like, let me just pop on because I rarely ever get to pop on video. So nice to see you in DC.
California.
Yeah,
Thank you. You look good.
yeah, really.
I'm at peace. I'm serious. I'm at peace. It's really lovely. When you asked about where in your body can you find peace, what came to me is, oh no, it's not just like in some place in my body. It is embodied. Like I can feel it today. It's a good day.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's check in tomorrow, but today's a good day.
Or let's check in 10 minutes.
Right? Because that infinity loop is always moving, man. It's always moving. I don't know
Always
what the next
going.
4 minutes is going to bring.
It's always moving. Yeah.
I love the idea that peace is there always, and that I guess I hear it in a way like even the presence, awareness, balance, and flow, that they all exist all the time. It's just whether I'm paying attention. And when I'm paying attention, I can find it. I can find all of them. And felt it very strongly in the meditation. It's beautiful. Just felt so much peace and so much connection, and so much love. So grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Talia, it's great to have you join us.
Yes, I'm glad to be here. It was a great meditation this morning.
Good. I'm glad you. What did you find great about it? Can you say one thing?
I like to meditate, and I have never been in a group-led meditation. I've done self-meditation, so this was a new experience for me. I liked the words spoken about peace, getting new perspectives and an outside perspective on that.
Thank you. It's great to hear that. Yeah, beautiful. I can sense your wisdom.
Yeah, just got it.
She does.
She's got it. She is it. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all. This felt good for me to help me calibrate. I think the message is imagine. I think that's the practice. It's that it's a constant calibration, and that when we just accept that, like driving, we can be safe when we're driving if we're always calibrating the brake and the gas, and that we do that intuitively. Imagine if we did that with every encounter. We always just knew we have to calibrate with everything or person we engage. So I invite you to consider that this week. Next week, dear Louise, who's here, is going to be talking to us about her beautiful experiences and wisdom. We'll say more about that next week. And as always, tell people about this. We're trying to get people from other parts of the world to come as well. So if you know people from different parts of the world, please let them know about this. And let's do
Joe?
it. Yeah.
I just want to say next week I'm going to do something within flexibility around delight and playfulness, a way to think of air and flow and playfulness. So,
All right. I love
Louise, that's a great
Right.
tease.
that.
come play, come
Come
play.
play. All right, so let's do a dedication. We had a motivation, we did our practice, we had a chance to reflect, and now just just think about all the energy we've generated, and let's direct that to all beings, of course, the planet itself, but just specifically to those who are really feeling in this moment some sense of calibrating or recognizing within themselves some peace, particularly people in war zones, people in communities or neighborhoods where peace is a luxury or a privilege. And as always, may all beings on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. And may all governments and world leaders govern from a place of wisdom and inner peace, as opposed to fear and greed. All right, thank you all. It's great to see you. Stay well, and see you next week.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you.